Hello engineers. In this video lesson, I'm going to attempt a multi-view drawing of a Game Boy. So follow along as best as you can and notice the Game Boy, the title is Game Boy Multi-View Drawing. So this is a special paper. The isometric grid is a little longer to accommodate for the space of the Game Boy. And make sure that you're drawing on this specific paper, not the regular multi-view paper that we have in class. So we're gonna draw a front view, side view, top view, and isometric of the Game Boy. And I'm gonna do something a little crazy and attempt it all in pen so that you can see it in camera. But really use a pencil because you will mess up. There's gonna be mistakes. If I make a mistake, I might have to start over. So we're going to start on the bottom left. I'm going to go up, over 3, up 3. And the width, the length of it, it's going to be 7 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Just putting dots in the corners. The Game Boy has rounded ends or rounded edges. And you're not going to draw a rectangle. You'll draw rounded edges. The height's going to be 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I'm actually, I'm going to backtrack a little bit. I'm going to use pencil, and then I'll go over it with the marker. Yeah, I'm a little scared. It's a complicated drawing, and I'm doing construction lines right now, so they're barely visible. I know that this corner here is going to have a rounded edge. So, yep. And this corner is going to have a very small rounded edge or rounded corner. A very small rounded corner in the other corners. Okay, once I'm happy with that, I can, let's autofocus there. And now I can put my permanent lines. I'm not expecting you to draw in pen, by the way. If you do this all in pencil, that is what I want. I'll really just do this in pen so that it shows up nice on the camera. That way you can see the lines really crispy and clear. And I'm doing my best to be very neat, trying to prevent any smudges. Okay, so there's the overall shape. You have the height, the width. Now I'm going to actually go ahead and put in the side and the top. And again, I'm going to go back to my pencil. I'll put all the details in a little bit. Gonna go. So the depth of the Game Boy is 2 units. So I'm going to do a 2 by 11 rectangle. And again, I'm starting off with construction lines. So you see me drawing these lines, but they're going to get erased later. They should be barely visible. They're just my guiding lines. The front of the Game Boy, the corners also have rounded corners. This corner right here has a little bit more of a rounded corner, more of a triangular type of shape. And then now I'm going to put in my permanent lines here so they show up a little better on camera. So if you want to, go ahead and pause the video and get these shapes made. Okay, now if you're back, let's do the top view. Reverting back to my pencil, lining up the side here. I'm gonna put I'm gonna put 4 units between the two here. And it's gonna be a 2x7 rectangle. And construction lines, they just help guide your drawing. They're not meant to stay there. Again, we have rounded corners. The Game Boy, the original Game Boy, is very rounded off. So make it a little easier to grip and a little more aesthetically pleasing. And now let's add our details on our front view. So here we have our front, top, side. The isometric we'll save for last. So for the Game Boy front view, the grid lines are not necessarily going to be utilized. We're going to go past them or go in the middle of them. So for example, the Game Boy has a detail up near the top here. So this row of units, we're going to line up our ruler with that row of units right there, and then we're going to go up half. So did you see that? So line up with the line and then go up half. And then draw one straight line. And then it has 2 vertical lines on its ends that are also divided in half from the units. So again, what do I mean by that? So I'm lining up with the edge, then I'm going to go halfway into one of those units, those squares, and draw a line. Just like that. And I'll do the same exact thing on the opposite side. So I'll line up with the edge, bring it in about halfway, draw a line there. Alright, so now those 2 little lines are going to set us up for other details on the front face of the Game Boy. So again, line up your ruler. So here's a square unit, the halfway point, line it up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a construction line. So a really light line. That's going to go all the way down the Game Boy on both sides. This construction line, breaking this unit in half. And then we're going to draw so this line right here, we're going to draw a line between those 2 lines that we drew. And then we're going to go down, I think it's, let me think. So, okay, so from here, so from this corner, we're going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a half for the screen. Just like so. And the screen, all right, so let me draw these a little darker. The screen also has rounded corners, but the bottom left, this corner right here, it has a bigger rounded corner, so something like that. And then the other corners have little rounds. Let me just go ahead and draw in my permanent line so it shows up a little better. I'm taking my time, I'm not rushing. Already 9-ish minutes into this. So this is going to take patience and time to get this drawing done right. There's the screen of the Game Boy. Or partially the detail of the Game Boy screen. The Game Boy screen itself is a square within this detail. So again, I'm going back to my pencil. And here we have a serious, like, we're not using the grid at all. So we're going to find this square right here, and we're going to put a dot in the middle. We're going to find this square right here. I'm going to put a dot in the middle. This square right here, put a dot in the middle, and this square, and put a dot in the middle. That's our screen. That's our square screen. So let me just draw in my construction lines. Do your best to be as vertical and horizontal as possible. Use 90 degrees. You can use your ruler edge to line it up as best as possible. Okay, now I'm going to put in my permanent lines. Beautiful. It's a good Game Boy screen. Okay, and now we're going to add in the buttons and the directional pad. So the directional pad is lined up with this edge here, and it's about 2 units down. I think it's about 2 units down. So we have, it's gonna like live in this space here. So let's see, that's 1, 2, 3. Go like right here. I'm sort of inventing this as I go. Noticed. So just watch as I do this. Okay, so that's a good placement for it. So see how I drew? I drew very lightly. Probably can't even see it on the video. So line up the ruler with the screen edge, and then from the bottom line of the screen, we're gonna go down like 1.5-ish, and then in this section right here, I'm gonna draw a very small vertical line like so, and then horizontal line in, over, down, up, like a plus symbol. I might have to zoom in on this so you can see a little better. Alright, so let me actually just draw it. Sometimes it's better to see the action than explain the action. Okay, let me try zooming in on this and see what it looks like. Alright, so here we go. So from the bottom of the Game Boy, you're going to go up 1, 2, 3 units. From the left side, you're going to go in 1.5. And you're going to have this unit here, which is where the main part of the D-pad is sketched. So if you like, you could say that's the center, and then you'll draw your plus. And your little squares here kind of live across each of the units here. These could really be just squares. Maybe that helps to visually see the breakup of that. If not, maybe try and see if that helps. And then I think on the Game Boy there's a little circle in the middle, just from the indent. So I'm going to add that little detail. I'm just going to draw a very tiny circle. So go ahead and, if you want to pause and attempt that. Zoom out again. And for the buttons, we have the A, B buttons. I'm going to line up the ruler with the bottom of the D-pad. Put a construction line there. Line up the ruler with the top of the D-pad. The two buttons live diagonally in this area here. And they're about half the size of the D-pad, like the circles are. And they sort of touch like where this line is, so this construction line. So in this section right here, we're going to do our best to put a little circle and then go diagonal or like down and over one and put a little circle. This was the most challenging thing for me to see visually. And it might even be a little too close to the edge, which is fine, I guess. It's not going to be perfect. The main point of this exercise is to practice multi-view drawings and to see, how they're laid out. So like obviously this is the front, the side, the top, and you'll see all those details get put into place to help you understand the orientation of objects on multi-view paper. I'm going to say I'm happy with these two little circles. Not really, but they're fine. If you want to use a very small stencil for circles, that's okay. And you can go ahead and put A, B. And then we're going to do the start and select buttons. So that's going to be from the bottom left, that's over 3 and up 2. And in this section right here, they're just little diagonal tic-tacs. Just like that. And then if you want to write out start and select, you can, or you can just put little zigzags to indicate that words are going to be there. And there is a speaker in the bottom right. I think it's a speaker. We can line up our ruler and put a line, and then we can draw more diagonal lines to indicate the speaker vents. And that is a very good front view of the Game Boy. Now the side view is going to have some extra details or some different details because there's like a charging port. The Game Boy itself is made of 2 plastic pieces, so it's actually divided in 2. So we're going to put a straight line down the middle. Then I'm going to line up my ruler to the bottom of the button in the D-pad and put little tick marks here. And that just indicates the buttons. We would see the sides of the buttons. Might even see like a little bump here for the start. And then we line up this line here with the side view because we would see that going across, and put that line there. And then if you ever held a Game Boy, there's like ridges on the back here. So we're going to eyeball that. We're just going to put a bunch of horizontal lines as neatly as possible. I'm not even counting. And then we have some ports. We have charging port or a volume. I actually forget. And those are just rectangles. They don't need to be perfect. They just need to be there to show that you attempted to add detail. Just like so. And then the top view is actually super cake as well. We're gonna line up our ruler with the halfway point of the first unit, draw a line, do the same on the other side, and then finish that rectangle there. Near the top of it, there's a line there. And then some marks here, and then I think there was a detail on the Game Boy up top here. I'm doing this all from memory. And there's your top, front, side view. If you really want to spend the time writing in Nintendo Game Boy, you can. I'm not expecting you to, so don't waste your time doing that. If you have it at this level and you want to use a marker or a nice pen to really emphasize and make it look more professional, you can. But go ahead and erase any of the marks you don't need, any of your construction lines you don't need. Now we're going to attempt the isometric view. So that's going to take a little more effort. Yeah, let me write my name on this. If somebody steals my work. Alright, so let's look at the isometric grid here. So I know it's 2 in depth. So near the bottom, just going to mark 2 little dots on the intersections of 2 units. I know it's 7 width, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. So from this dot, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then it's 11 tall. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. So I'm just going to draw in a construction lines to make a glass box. These lines will get erased later. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I gotta make sure I line that up properly with the top. Nice, very nice. I think I like drawing the isometrics more than the other views. Alright, so now get the hard part out of the way. The bottom has this rounded edge. Draw like so. And then all the corners have their rounded edges. Like so. The Game Boy is split in half in this direction. We have all of these lines, the grippy parts. We have our line in the top, so that cuts the diagonal in half. We have our lines cutting the units in half here. And again, same thing, line up that unit. Basically repeating everything except the grid is diagonal. What is that? It's going to go down from right here. So this is where the screen detail starts. And we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4.5. Line it up. Where the screen is, so this is where that round goes. All right, let me take some time to put in the dark lines so that it's a little more visible. Oops. I'm not perfect. line so it looks nice. Feels like I'm going too fast. It's because I am. I'm trying to make this a short video, but I'm already 25 minutes in. If you made it this far, maybe take a little break, go get some water, or show off what you have to your table partner so far. If you're this far, man, be really proud of yourself for being able to pay attention and get through the work. It's not easy work. I mean, it's really not intended to be easy work. It's, pretty challenging stuff. Oh, this line is not as thick as I want it to be. You can take a moment to pause and like process what just happened, and then attempt the drawing if you haven't followed along already. All right, back to it. We're gonna do the directional pad and the buttons now. So again, they're about 2 down, and they're kind of in this area. Let me see. Let me count here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So they're like right around here. This is the most challenging part, I think, is drawing isometric circles. They're gonna be a little oval-ish, just like that. And then we have our directional pad over here, and that lives, I think that's like right here. So I'm just keeping all of my lines, all my straight lines are matching the direction of the grid lines. So that's what makes it isometric. Try to keep it all aligned as best as possible. Yeah, I think that's good. So I'm gonna leave that like that. And then I'm just gonna plug in my permanent lines here. And see how my ruler is, perfectly vertical. I want to keep it vertical with the vertical lines. It's a little off, but I'm doing my best. And we have the little tic-tac shapes with the start and select, and then some diagonal lines here for the speaker. Oh, and there's actually the square for the screen itself. So this diamond shape here, we're going to put a dot in the middle. This diamond shape, put a dot in the middle. This diamond shape, put a dot in the middle. This diamond shape, put a dot in the middle. And then we're going to connect the dots. That was actually a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Did I miss anything? I hope not. I think I got it all. Oh, there's details here. We can add those in. If you miss those details, it's no big deal. What I'm really looking for is any amount of this. If you have a good isometric drawing, it's not sloppy. Mine is a little sloppy. I might lose points on this. Take the time to erase any lines you don't need. Yeah, I don't like all this right here. You have the correct size, the correct sizes, the correct front view here. Everything's lined up. And what I mean by that, I mean the bottoms are all lined up. The top is lined up. The sides, they all are lined up. Okay, on the side view, I can see the buttons. I can see some details here. Your isometric is the same size in units, so it's 7 by 2 by 11. And obviously your name's on it. So there you have it. Probably the most complex multi-view drawing yet that you'll do by hand. And if you got this far, you should feel really good about that. It's not an easy drawing. It really challenges your understanding of what it means to make a multi-view or orthographic drawing. And just, refer back to the example. I'm going to upload this as a PDF so you can reference this and look at it, count all the units, and really make this as professional looking as you possibly can. Oh, and making sure you have all the little details to show me that you really gave it your best effort. All right, good luck with that, and ask for help and help each other out as well.